Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ladies, understand something. The top end of a woman's weight is 145 pounds. Okay. My mother's 5'9" and she was 145 pounds until she was 50. That's the top end of your weight because there should be about a 40-pound difference between you and men.
Basically, if the guy is rich, what ends up happening is the lawyer contacts the person and be like, hey, you know, your name gonna be all in the paper, so you might as well just settle out of court.
I can recognize talent. Even if I don't agree with the politics, a lot of the politics that was underlying in the show and some of the sentiments he was trying to share, I recognize artistry when an artist is present.
Yes, this is the definition of absolutely cooked. We'll never go back and take a look at her bad decision and take accountability for any of that.
Because there is powerful people in the industry, somehow there is a different law that applies to them. And I agree with that assessment.
What up, YouTube? Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Thursday is down. Friday is right around the corner. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling blessed. And shout out to everybody in the building. I see some familiar faces in here. Let me give a shout out real quick before we get into this evening's discussion. The family in the building, man. I appreciate you for pulling up, bro. Much love. Shout out to everybody that's watching from wherever you are. My poets, my writers, my content creators. Y'all know the drill. I gotta give y'all flowers. Always gonna make sure that you know that you are appreciated on this side of the internet. Tomorrow's open mic. I'm not too sure if it's going to happen or not, but either way, we will go and have these discussions one way or another. So lock in, closing out the weekend strong. Definitely in a space where I'm just grateful that I have a platform to express my feelings and my thoughts on different things that's going on out here. So we definitely going to lock in for tomorrow. Tonight we got a different one. I had a question that I was going to respond to initially, but I figured I'd save that for either tomorrow or over the weekend. I haven't decided yet, but this one right here I wanted to address because, you know, we have different opinions on this. So if you agree or disagree with anything I said, you're more than welcome to challenge it. I have no issue with that. We're unbiased up here. There's no favoritism. We just talking our shit and keeping it pushing. But I think it's only right that when we have these discussions that we're unbiased and we keep it balanced, you know what I'm saying? I see my bro just pulled up in the building. So I'm gonna let him come up, introduce himself. We're gonna get into this. Any feedback, let us know. Any discussions, any topics you want to see us cover, let me know. I'll lock in, I'll save them, I'll bring them to the panel, and we'll go from there. Jason, what's going on, sir? Talk to me.
What it is. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. It's Thursday, Friday around the corner. I get a little extra energy when we get close to the weekend. So I'm feeling good.
I hear you. That is most excellent. I am currently looking for something, but it's great to see everyone here who's either watching on YouTube or other socials, or those who are going to watch the recording. Thank you so much for showing up. This is probably going to be an interesting one, as they usually are.
Definitely. For those of you who are really not familiar, I take a lot of these subjects from the viewers, from the people who are commenting on different channels, on different videos, on Twitter or Instagram. I take portions of topics and disagreements, I bring them up here so we can dissect them the right way. And this was just another one that I got from off of Instagram. Actually, I didn't get this one from TikTok. The cheater has options, the loyal ones do not. And this is pretty much what the argument is. The reason why men typically are able to have a succession of women is because they bring a certain type of dynamic to the social spectrum. Like they meet certain requirements, certain attributes. They have certain characteristics that give them more leeway to play around a little bit more versus someone who is pretty much average working, doesn't really get into the same type of crowd or spaces that a lot of other individuals do. The nice guy, typically, not the corny nice, but the actual hardworking average guy who really isn't interested in stepping outside of the relationship, or they don't really have a lot of eyes on them. So I kind of wanted to touch on that. I wanted to know if this is true, if this is just a fallacy. Do people really think or believe that, the more toxic you are, or the more attractive you are, and if you have this list, right, and the woman, that list is long as hell. If you meet damn near every single thing on the list, if you can match that list, then you are more likely able to get away with having multiple people on the side versus the other guy who barely got you, but he can't really pull off what the other guy can.
Okay, I'm going to say something very controversial, and there are going to be a lot of people who don't like it, and I hope that this sparks one hell of a discussion. Men who cheat are weak. They're weak men. And the reason why I say that is I've been able to actually create a understanding of what makes a masculine leader versus what makes a weak man. And there are 5 major traits that I've found. And the more of these traits that you have, for those who have read my book, you understand the whole concept of shade and trace. Shade being secretive, hollow, antagonistic, divisive, and evasive. And trace being transparent, relatable, assertive, compassionate, and empowered. So the 5 traits that I'm going to cover are traits that really reinforce the shade behaviors, the behaviors that actually make a person seem untrustworthy, someone who's a bit of an asshole, the one that is seen as the bad boy but is really unreliable, untrustworthy, someone you would not really depend on. And for someone who's going to cheat, I've identified at least 4 of these 3 or 4 of these traits that are usually present in someone who is going to cheat. The first one is comfort seeking. And a comfort seeking man is going to be someone who avoids hardship, avoids actually doing the hard thing. Staying in a relationship is hard. Making sure that you stay in a commitment, even during the good and the bad times, even when it feels like it's not worth it, but staying the course anyway, that's hard. That's hard as hell. And to decide that you're going to step out, that's someone who's seeking comfort more than they're seeking responsibility. And leadership is about how you define your responsibility. So that's the first one. The second one is impulsiveness. Weak men are impulsive. They are attracted to short-term gains rather than the self-control of long-term plans. The third one is isolation. Now, this could be or could not be one. I mean, you could argue that men who isolate themselves don't cheat. Yeah, that could be an agreement, but it also could be that people who isolate themselves don't create long-term bonds, and so they're in and out of relationships faster than Madonna's in and out of underwear. The fourth one, which really doesn't apply that much to cheaters, but applies to men who have that woe is me attitude, is self-pity. Self-pity versus the ability to create a stoic mindset, the ability to grit through it, the ability to say, complaining is not my wheelhouse. I have given up the right to complain because I have responsibilities that I have to attend to, and they're hard, and they just have to get done. So suck it up. And then the fifth one, which I think is really one of the major ones, is ego-driven weakness, which is the seeking of power for validation rather than trying to define your purpose. Men who cheat, and I'm going to caveat this by saying that I have been someone who's cheated in the past, and I can identify with at least 4 of these. At least. I used to be a shady mofo. So when I'm saying this, I'm not trying to point the finger. I'm saying that I'm kind of airing my own dirty laundry here because I was one of those people. And that's why I can say on good authority that this is what's really going on. People who cheat are weak. They are not willing to actually do the hard thing, which is either stay in the relationship or say, this is not working, it has to end, and move on. I yield the mic.
So I want to come at this from a different place, right? Because I see what you're saying. I've been that person as well. And when you're young, you think that, tasting or indulging in different flavors, so to speak, is fun. It gives you some sense of life. It gives you a thrill. You get to experience different people at different times of your life. I mean, you're young. You only live once. Why not go out here and partake if you have access to it? Older you get, you realize that it's not what it seems to be. So I want to acknowledge everything that you said, and on top of that, I want to add my other take. So what happens is with the cheating and infidelity and folks who don't have the capacity to maintain some type of sense of morality, you're basically saying that all bets are off. Rules don't really apply to you, only to a certain extent. And if you are someone that can step out on your spouse, and it's actually based on you and this person coming together and saying, look, I like you. I think we have a lot of interest. I see this going somewhere. Let's do this. We're going to actually lock in. Not one of those superficial, I see a fat ass, I see a handsome guy that got some money. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you actually like the person and you have the conversations and you go out and you do things that traditionally would put you in a position to say, all right, this is someone that I might want to lock in with. Now, there's no contracts. The real contract comes through that paper and that ring, but you sign like a non-verbal contract with somebody. When you sit there, first of all, you open your legs up to the person, and on top of that, you invest emotionally, spiritually, and mentally into another person. The minute that you give a piece of your body, your time, your resources, any portion of your time that is invested into another person, and you decide that you want to take it serious and you step out on it, it's absolutely everything that you said on top of that, because not only is it weak, especially if you don't have the conversation, if you don't say, look, I want to deal with multiple people. I'll fuck with you, but I'm not really trying to be like here with you. Like, we can do this, but I want others. If you're not doing that, that's no. But if you are really locked in with a person and you step out, I can't really get with that. And a lot of conversations around this as well. He got money. He makes a certain amount. He has a blue check. He's famous. He's known to everybody. He has status. So as a byproduct of his success, he should be allowed to sleep with whoever he wants without any.
That's a bunch of bullshit. That whole statement is a bunch of bullshit. Basically, what you're saying is status matters. Status is an illusion. I don't coach men. The men that I work with, I don't coach them to be high status. I make sure that they condition that term out of their minds, because I want men that are high functioning, not high status. I want men to be, the men that I coach, I want them to be able to look at themselves and say, I am high functioning. I have self-awareness. I have emotional intelligence. I have healthy boundaries, and I have a sense of emotional resilience based on stoicism. And because of that, I have developed a moral compass within me that lets me know that the things that I control are all that I can control. And as long as I am transparent, relatable, assertive, compassionate, and empowering and empowered, then I'm going to move through life with a degree of success, not without any kind of hardship, but with a degree of success that I had not known before. And that is probably way more attractive than status. I mean, it's coming out now that people with status already are stepping out, and that it is creating a lot of problems in their relationships. And people are beginning to see, men and women alike, are beginning to question, is high status really worth it? Is it worth it, the emotional pain of investing with someone who is high status in order to gain access from them, only to realize that it didn't mean anything, that it was all a lie, and now this dude that I was messing with is treating me like trash because he found the next flavor of the week when I was looking for something else. Is it worth it? And I love this conversation because now it's really showing that hypergamy does not exist. That women who wait for the men to cross the finish line first, they don't get special treatment. And they aren't treated with the degree of respect they deserve. I yield the mic.
To be honest with you, you get treated the way that you treat yourself.
Facts.
When a person says to me, you know, this person looks good, so they can get away with doing certain things because another person, you do realize that just because pretty privilege exists, or just because someone has a certain level or degree of popularity, that does not keep them from being a successor to, what's the word I'm looking for? karma. So you go out here and you practice and you utilize your options. Since everyone is saying he's LeBron James, so he can go out here and mess around with 5 or 6 different women at the same time, and it's okay. Like, put it in perspective. Seriously, you're telling me that his money, and I'm just using him as an example, but his money, his popularity, he's a great basketball player. He can go out here and do whatever, and he's untouchable. Nothing's going to come from it. Well, you see what's happening to Sean Combs. DDG just got exposed, and I don't know how true or false that is, but apparently he's been cheating on his child's mother the entire time that she was in her pregnancy, allegedly. I just watched a video. Someone leaked screenshots and different things of that nature. Very popular guy. Some of you know who he is, some of you don't. But my point is, why do men and women just go with this narrative that you're rich or you're famous, so that means that you can do whatever the hell you want and nothing is going to happen?
Because people want to have the permission to do what they want without consequences. And as soon as people believe they can, they will. It's a moralistic race to the bottom. And there's no accountability, no sense of moral rightness that exists in that, because it's based on one thing, the love of money, which, as we know, is the root of all evil. So it is basing everything on wealth, on greed. It is a greed-based system. And so you've got men who are exhibiting these 5 behaviors that I said, but women also exhibit their own 5 behaviors that show that they are not the feminine powerhouses that they can be. And women, if you're watching this, you absolutely are a powerhouse. You just lost your way. And so I'm just going to go through the 5 behaviors that really show or that detail the ways in which they've kind of lost their way. The first one is being self-absorbed. The idea of prioritizing personal autonomy over connection and cultivation. That is the belief that you are more important than anything else you could do. That if it doesn't benefit you, it's not worth it. Well, you don't matter. Second one is entitlement. So the demanding results without responsibility or without effort. The third one is emotional instability, which is basically prioritizing feelings over truth or stability. The fourth one is validation seeking, wanting other people to validate you without having done anything for that, and not deciding for that over influence or having any kind of real impact. And the fifth one is control obsession. And I find this to be, this one is growing a lot, and this one is very concerning. The belief that they deserve to have control over their environment, craving power instead of exerting influence, believing that they have the ability or they have the right or they have the whatever to demand control over their environment, even though it was never theirs to control. And these 5, when you pair these 5 things with the 5 that I mentioned from the men's side, you get just an absolute cacophony of degradation and just disgust. You can't deny that when you think about when women act in this way, men act in a way that is weak for men. this just creates something that is really undesirable, something that is like, ugh. Like how can you say that this is a desirable trait? How can you say that these are the kinds of things that really show that people are powerful in their own right? I yield the mic.
Something that I wanted to bring up, I never got to that portion, but just listening to that, it's like, damn, well, shit, this don't sound like a drink that I would want to partake of. This sounds like a clusterfuck of vomit, really. Like, those don't sound too pleasing at all. And I mean, really think about it for a second. The characteristics that you have described, they don't sound like, if you have that in the that specific archetype of person, would you want to be around that? Probably not. But however, it might look, it's the wrapping that it comes in, right? So it looks good, so you might tolerate it for a little bit, but after a while, you know, you ever drink something and it tastes good as you're drinking it, but once you're done drinking it, that aftertaste is like kind of like that.
I'm reconsidering my life choices at this point. Well, if you think about it, Mel, think about a lot of the videos and a lot of reactions that we've done. How many of them, especially the ones where either men or women are behaving a certain way, how many of them have exhibited at least one, if not more, of these undesirable traits?
Yeah, I know. It's almost like they just pushed those videos, though. That's all you see for real. And that's why I keep bringing them up. Because, you know, I don't see it when I'm kind of walking and I'm doing my everyday, but I see it enough to know that it exists and that is a problem. And for all intent and purposes, I needed to ask the question: are people who are deemed attractive, are they afforded more luxuries than the opposite? I think it's deeper than that.
Asking the wrong question. You really are just asking the wrong question if that's all you're asking. Because it's not about whether they are afforded more luxuries. I think that's a myth. Especially now, I think that people are really seeing that this isn't something you can really rely on. You can't rely on a pretty face. Women can't use their looks anymore to get what they want. Men are getting wise to that. And they're like, nah, I see what you're doing, and I don't approve. You can keep on going. They've become wise to this social manipulation that is happening, and they don't want it anymore. And they're doing things that they need to do to protect themselves, to make sure that if they're with someone for the right reasons, and that other people are right with them. I saw this one video. It was a 3-parter where this one guy was talking to a friend of his, and he was about to get a huge promotion out of a job. It was going to take him from like 50 grand, like over almost 300 grand per year. And he's like, well, I want to make sure that my girl's loyal. And so it was actually pretty ingenious. What he did was he got a fake lottery ticket from Spencer's, and got some roses and chocolates and whatnot. And he got a real lottery ticket for himself, and gave the fake one to her. He scratched the real one off. Loser, duh, because the game is rigged. But when she scratched it off, she thought that she had won $500,000. So she took a picture of it, and he asked us, like, so did we win anything? Like, was it $10, $5? Can we celebrate it all? Is it enough to celebrate? Like, no, I didn't win anything. And then he looked at her phone and found out that she had sent a picture of the ticket to her sister, saying, "Is this real?" And so then her sister's like, "Oh my God, it must be." And so then they made a plan for her to go out to her sister's house, which was it was out of state. And then once she got on the plane, before she decided to cash it because she wanted to do it when she wasn't with him because she thought she was being smart and slick. When she was on the plane, she sent him a breakup text. And so he's like, "All right, cool. I'm sorry you feel that way." So then she realizes that it's fake. And he's like, "Nah, I'm not taking you back." She at first was when she found out that was fake. She first played the victim. Like, how dare you trick me like this? What kind of sick person does this? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching the video. I'm like, what kind of person makes the assumption that after they've won, they can just break up their relationship and go on their own simply because they've now got a bag? And it was hilarious to watch how these assumptions and the selfish behavior, this self-absorption that she had, along with the control obsession, the wanting to just be in control of her own life, those two things were the two things that did her in. And so he just, moved and didn't give her a forwarding address. After they had that blow up, he blocked her. And he just went on with his life, and it was kind of funny to watch that story. But then the reason why I say that is because there's this big myth that men cheat more than women. That men cheat and women don't. The women don't. It's almost even. Men, through research done through psychological interviews or whatnot, they found that men cheat 37% of the time, women cheat 34% of the time. There's only a difference of only 3%, which is basically nothing. Basically says that they both cheat almost at the exact same rate. So the whole idea that people who are loyal don't have options, no, it's just that they want to stay loyal. It's not that they're staying loyal because they don't have options. They want to stay loyal because they believe in investing in a relationship because they believe in it. If you don't, that's your fault. That's your problem. It's not theirs. If you were raised to believe that relationships were just something to be discarded, there's a special place in hell for you. I yield the mic.
So first of all, I did a reaction to that story, which made this even more hilarious. It was like, damn, he's seen this shit too. Yeah. She thought she was really doing something. I laughed the whole time the dude was narrating the story. And the brother, which was his friend, he was about to come into some real money, like legit. And he wanted to really take care of her. But he was like, man, I don't know if I can trust her. What should I do? All right, I got an idea. And there it is. She, like, how do you think you're going to basically play him and then try to get on the internet and make people feel sorry for you for what you tried to do? No, it's not happening. I do think it's a myth. I do agree that people who want to be faithful will be faithful. Now, as far as the percentage, I'm up in the air with it just because, people take shit to the grave. Some people never took these studies. Some people will never say a word while everybody else is on TikTok and on Twitter telling on themselves. They tell their entire life. DDG, allegedly, right? I just watched this earlier. Allegedly, he has a group chat where he basically has a certain amount of people in there, and he basically just tells all his dirty laundry in it. And somebody from within his circle snitched on him, took the screenshots from the privacy of that group chat, put it in the hands of someone that he was dealing with. They took it, put it on social media, and basically he cheated on Holly. He was obsessed with Coily Ray. He was fucking with multiple females while he was dealing. Like, so I mean, like, some people were telling themselves, some people you'll never know. You will never know that they out here sucking and doing this and that with multiple people at, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not mad at the percentage. I don't think it's far-fetched. I just don't think everybody is really that forthcoming with admitting or owning up to their stuff. You said that men are catching on to the women, but what about the women who are steadily going after that particular archetype of man? The Chads and the Tyrones, steadily going after them and going after them and going after them, only to end up knocked up, complaining that he ain't shit and this, that, and the third. Those are the guys that are being discussed in this particular piece that we're doing now. When they say you have options, they're speaking about assholes and stuff like that. They're the ones that can get away with sleeping with multiple women. What about them? What do we do with that? You know what I'm saying? Is that real? Is that fake? Is that accurate?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure that is real and accurate. I think that there are still women who are desperate enough to want what they want regardless, and men who are irresponsible enough to just do what they want to do. And the intersection of those two is where you have this tragedy. Well, you have to blame both sides, because it takes two to tango. It takes both people who are willing, and you get what you get, and you can't be upset. I mean, at some point, where do you take on the personal responsibility of admitting that you had a hand in the way that things played out? At what point do you decide that you're going to be truthful with yourself and with others and say, "Yep, I screwed up. I made a decision that caused this kind of thing to happen"? Because it didn't just happen spontaneously. A nice, well, not nice, but a egotistical male didn't just happen to see you and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna just have surprise sex with this person," and surprise, now it's happening. And no, it doesn't happen like that. There was someone did something, someone approached someone, and there was a series of decisions that were made, and then those decisions led to a result. And now they're regretting the result, and they are expecting that someone else is going to be held accountable because they don't want to hold themselves accountable. Well, tough shit. You made a decision, and because of that decision, a consequence came of that. You have to deal with that. This is called real life. In real life, you deal with the consequences of your actions. Whether you like them or not, doesn't matter. I yield the mic.
I wish Anna or somebody was on here, because there was another question that was brought to my attention, and it wasn't really a question, it was a statement. And I was on the phone, and he was saying, "Look, bro, I was listening to somebody speak, and she was saying that the reason why women like the Chads and the Tyrones over the squares is because," and this is from the woman, she said, "because the squares don't know how to have intercourse. That's the real reason. I scratched my head. I had to do a double take, and I'm only thinking our wiring is just like completely messed up. Really. So my question was, is this based on experience? So did you sleep with men that you thought were corny and you found out that they didn't know?
Fuck you.
Did you sleep with enough of these people to figure out or determine? Because this is a big world. There's billions of people on this planet. How do you quantify whether or not that really is true or not? How can you really tell me that the guy who wears his pants above his waist with a belt does not know how to use the mechanics given to him to satisfy another person in bed adequately, but just because you think that they are not exhilarating enough?
This is called self-absorption. They want things on their terms, and the need for control. They want things on their terms, and they have the assumption that, oh, he can't give it to me because I don't understand him. It's a lack of desire to create a connection. It is, I want something on my terms. I want to be fulfilled in the way that I want to be, and so I want to do it in the quickest way possible. I mean, right there, I've just listed off like three different toxic traits of these female variety, who just want what they want the way they want it right away without having to actually put any investment. I think, who told you that who lied to you and told you that you deserve to treat people like that? Who told you that you were so important that you didn't have to create a connection with someone in order to have your needs fulfilled? What made your sexual desires the most important thing? And why were you never corrected? And it is just so mind-boggling that either men or women believe they have the audacity to make these kinds of claims where they have absolutely no way of quantifying them. Because I guarantee, you talk to someone who is a quote-unquote square, you show them, you demonstrate that you are willing to open up and trust them and that they can trust you, I guarantee that they will put their back into it in order to find out how they can really please you. And it'll probably be the most filling experience you've ever had, but you've got to work for it. I yield the mic.
Two things. If you like getting choked out and you like getting your hair pulled and all that extra shit, let's start there. Can we have the conversation? Why do you like that? Is it because you want to feel dominated? Is it because you want to feel that aggression? Where did it stem from? Where's the root of the problem? Like, you don't just develop that overnight. You're introduced to this shit. You have to experiment with things, and then after experimenting, after a while, oh, I like this. No, I don't like that too much. Maybe if they were a little more aggressive. No, maybe if this. Yeah, you do know that's what happens when you're with multiple people, or you're around different types of personalities, whether it's sexual or not. You get introduced to things test it out for yourself to see how it fits your program. And then you start adopting these habits. So if a person, and I love that you said self-absorbed, because as soon as a person doesn't really fit into that particular mode, you disqualify them, not really knowing whether or not they can actually maximize on that or not. But I mean, I just think it's stupid. And I'll be the first one to tell you there was a point in time where I was self-absorbed like that, where you had to be a certain type of way for me to be interested, but not like in the same way that a woman would. It's just like I've created over the years things that I require that you are able to bring to me in order for this to work. And if we can work on them together, cool. If we can't, that's something else. Most people, if you're interested in a person, you're going to find ways to blend each other's lives together. That's if you really like the person. But if you don't, you're not going to give much effort. And I think that's where you were going with that other portion.
Exactly. Yeah. To your point, people who like to get choked, have their hair pulled, whatever your fetish might be, there's probably also some underlying self-worth issues that are going on, and I think that the kind of fuel the rest of these, that they can't, it's not that they find the quote unquote square boring. It's that they don't deserve that they don't believe they deserve anyone's time enough to create that kind of relationship, where if they were to open up, someone would see them as so broken that they would never want to actually deal with them, and the rejection would be way too hard. And I think that is a huge part of it. I think that these women are hurting because they haven't been taught how to really be loved in a way that makes them feel absolutely safe. And I think that is one of the large problems here.
That hit deep. Like real spill. A lot of these situations all come down to that too. Really, it was something that I was going to ask. Maybe we can kind of end this right here. So, Cardi B has been going through some things with Offset, right? So I did a stream, not a stream, but I did a recording on this, and I'm constantly having this argument about hypergamy and how Offset can't level up or get someone better than Cardi B. Cardi B can get someone better than Offset. My argument is, if she doesn't get married or if she doesn't get a ring, all she is doing is getting passed around. She's not really winning anything. And his whole thing is because she's Cardi B and she can have intercourse with football players, basketball players. She can stay in this realm or this place where this person makes X amount of money. That means that she's actually winning something. You're not really, to me, if your household is dysfunctional, if it's in ruins on both sides, and you don't have anything like stable happening here. I don't see anything victorious about that. I don't know. It just I don't understand how anyone thinks that, for one, if you're going to move on, make sure that you're moving on with intentions and in purpose. Cardi B is not, in my opinion, marriage material. She has too many issues, too many things that she has not worked on or gotten fixed within herself, especially dealing with someone that was of the options. Offset cheating with multiple people. So that tells me already right there that you have a poor sense of self. As much as you put on all this makeup and get in front of the camera and everybody adores you, you can't seem to get you a faithful, loyal guy to stay there with you.
I think it's a failure on both our parts, because this is clearly, from my perspective, I don't know much about the situation. The brief summary that I read tells me that these two people are highly codependent, and it's created quite a toxic relationship where he'll go off and he'll step out, and then she'll get mad, but then they'll reconcile, and they got 3 kids between each other, and they just had another one. The third one is pretty recent. I mean, why? So, to your point, how is it that you can be mad at someone that you then make up with and then keep on getting pregnant with, that you refuse to leave, who also refuses to change their behavior, and even though you're complaining, you are not going to do anything about it? Make that make sense. Because to me, it is just a clown show. You've got 2 people who are obviously very effed up from the floor up, who have no sense of what it means to really create trust and connection, and are more into the spotlight than they are into actually creating something genuine in their relationship. The fact that it's aired out on for the public to see it is a huge red flag and a half from both of their sides. And I hear that she's got like a reality TV series deal in the works, or something like that. Some kind of TV production deal about this whole shit show.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is, and these are the kind of people that we look up to. Like, what the literal fuck?
I know. The very fact that people are arguing over it and debating about it. Let me be perfectly clear. I don't give a shit about neither one of them, for real. Like, I don't care. I mean, the only reason this is a topic is because most of us are too invested in their life. But the things that they go through, most average people go through on a regular basis. There's people around the corner from me, down the street from me, that deal with this same thing. I'm guaranteed that there's people that's watching that know people who deal with shit like this. This is common. They're common.
And therein lies the tragedy.
Exactly. Superstar rappers, mainstream, million views, million subscribers. People idolizing them, people worshiping them. Oh my God, it's Cardi B. Oh, like, this is what y'all look to for an example, to be a father, to be a wife, to be a girlfriend, or I don't know. Like I said, I agree. Both of them are to blame. I do think there's some codependency there. Think there's there's a real lack of guidance there, lack of accountability on both parts. No one is really telling them the truth for real, about what they're doing or what they've done. I don't think they've been put in positions to deal with the path of destruction that they've caused over the years. And this is just a byproduct of everything that they've done from the time that they were old enough to pick and choose what they wanted to get involved with, and so forth. So I like I told him, I don't think she won shit. I don't think either one of them won anything for real. She's dealing with a football player. I don't see them getting married. He's fucking off with somebody probably. They're not going to get married. It's just going to be a cycle of them sleeping with this artist, sleeping with that artist, that player. That it's just going to be that. It's not going to ever be anything fruitful other than producing children that have to watch you as adults act like children.
Just call it an open marriage and be done with it.
Sensational.
I mean, and stop making it. I mean, people love drama because it's escapism. People can escape into the drama and focus on someone else's life that they see as more fucked up than theirs. And so they enjoy that as relief, but it doesn't solve anything. I mean, and by focusing on this kind of behavior, you make it complicit, and bad behavior that is complicit is rewarded, and so it continues. This is not something that one should ever be sensationalized. I think this kind of behavior is absolutely deplorable, and I also think that people are human beings. They make mistakes. We all screw up every now and then. We all make mistakes, and I've been in enough relationships where really the relationship was contingent on my behavior. As soon as I did something wrong, she went up one side, down the other. And if I were any better, if I were any better of a person, I would have said something about it. Because I did not have the best self-esteem myself, I didn't say anything about it. Probably one of the reasons why I did cheat so much, because I had my own self-worth issues. But this kind of behavior, you say it's common, but I think it's I think it's common based on like inner city or like major city type of environments. I think that it's more common there than it is in rural environments. At least that's what studies show, that when you get closer to a large city, or especially the city center, it's more fucked up than either the outskirts of the city, the suburbs, or even the rural areas. I know that's true here in Calgary. The closer you go to the center of the city, the more degenerate it feels. And I think what we are doing is setting a bad example of what it means to be a human being. We're celebrating the weakness. And, another thing I was going to bring up is both Offset and Cardi B are just doing the worst thing they could possibly do as human beings and focusing on short-term gains. That is dangerous, because there's no goal, there's no solution that you're moving towards. Neither one of them are acting as role models or leaders, because they are just focusing on the next thrill. And anyone who focuses just on short-term thinking, they are an addict. Whether it be addicted to sex, addicted to emotions, addicted to drama, addicted to alcohol, drugs, porn, gambling, whatever, it is all an addiction. It is all chasing a short-term victory, sacrificing the long-term vision. I yield the mic with that one.
Uh, my last thoughts on this subject overall. It's not about attraction, and this is just my opinion, folks. Y'all can agree to disagree. I don't think it's about attraction necessarily. I think it's a deep-seated issue that stems from your upbringing, what you were introduced to. Like I said earlier, and I know this to be a part of it because everyone's had like this identity thing where you're trying to figure it out the older you get, and you get into a crowd of people. No, this ain't gonna work. Then you go to somebody else. It's kind of fun for a little bit, and then you start to see, well, it's okay, but my personality does not necessarily fit all the way in, so I'm gonna have to pass on that. And then you get into another one, and it's like, okay, this seems cool. But this is like over a course of years. You're doing this from elementary and up. Imagine this, go back to when you were your earliest memories of being in elementary school, and you got that first little love note or that little letter, or you had someone jealous of you, or whatever the situation was. That from then to however old you are now, you've gibbled and dabbed in so many different things. I believe that's a lot of the reason why when someone says it's about the aesthetics of a person, that's why most women are attracted to that type of person. It's deeper than that. It's absolutely deeper than that. And until you're really willing to figure out why it's like that, we're not really going to get anywhere. Are you?
I think a big part of it is that women and men are looking for someone who lets them feel like they aren't as fucked up as they feel they are. I think they are attracted to people who are they have their own level of wound, so to speak, and it's enough in the beginning where they can lose themselves in that and escape from their own problems. Long term, it doesn't work because eventually you're forced to face them because you can't lose yourself in someone else's shit forever. It becomes a little bit too much, but at least short term, it becomes an escape. And I think that people have really begun to, or people are seeing that the escape just isn't worth it. I think we are seeing people beginning to wake up. It's very slow, but at least on the fringes, I'm seeing that there are more indications of people who are wanting to return both to masculine and feminine traditional values, because anything else just does not work. And while other options have been tested, we're beginning to see that men and women are understanding that this is not the way that the world is supposed to work. This is not how things get done successfully. This is not a sustainable way of going about life. And it's going to continue until the natural order of things are put back in balance. And it's happening. It's just going to take some time to get back to that state, I think. And with that, I yield the mic.
Honestly, what I hope is this discussion actually gave the people a different perspective on what we're actually looking at. Not everything is is so clear and cut, right? I've seen too many examples of being attractive doesn't really get you far when you have a horrible spirit and a horrible mindset and attitude. And if you're attracted to that, you should really be reevaluating some stuff. I'm done with the trauma bonding and all that. I'm cool with that. I need you to be healed, like really healed, not you got your doctorate from or your certificate from ICDC college online, and you got a picture of little Romeo on it. I'm good. You really have to have different qualifications and things with you in 2025 moving forward in order for men that are tired of going through this hula hoop of you got to have 6 this, 6 that, 6 this, and like kind of over it. I think a lot of us are over the superficial. I think a lot of us are getting to the place where the superficial stuff is wearing off very, very quick. And you're going to have to bring more, just like you were saying. So shout outs to you. Shout outs to everybody.
I think as a final message, I don't think that necessarily people have to be healed, but I think they have to be willing to do better. I think they have to be willing to let go of the superficiality, wanting to take better responsibility for themselves, wanting to have a better sense of responsibility with who they are. Let go of the 5-year-old mentality, the 5th grader idea of things, or the adolescent belief of short-term gain over long-term vision, especially for men, and be willing to create something, desiring to take the responsibility to develop and grow something meaningful, and wanting to work together to do that. I think that's what it's going to take.
I'm not mad at it, sir. Not mad at it at all. And that being said, thank you for joining me again, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to have these conversations. To all the new faces in the building, thank you for tapping in with us. You know how to keep in contact with me. If you follow me on any of these platforms, you already know I'm pretty active. I keep up with everybody. I'm not Hollywood. I show love where love is shown. So for those of you who still, with me, salutes to you. I'm gonna be catching up with y'all. Me and Sydney will be on tomorrow. I don't know what is gonna come up, but we'll see. But y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evenings. You know what I'm saying? Jason, you enjoy the rest of yours. Happy Friday.
Thank you as well.
And yeah, we up out of here. Y'all be easy.